Awesome. All right. Today we are joined by Matty Betts. Matty Betts has amassed a following of over 300,000 on social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok. He is the CEO of House of Fighting. He's also a host on Show Me the Money podcast. Matty Betts, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on because you might be one of the craziest gamblers I have ever seen. I had the pleasure of meeting you at Power Slap in Vegas. And while I met you, I think we have it on camera, you were throwing some $500 chips around saying it was peasant money at the time. Do you remember this?
Sounds like I had too many tequila shots.
It was awesome. Well, hey, I want to just dive in and get right into it. The first thing we got to know is when you built your community, you started sports betting. How did you get into that? I know that you're really into UFC and fighting. That's where I tail you the most and I win the most money. Lately, you've been a little cold, but it's UFC. You're going to switch it up. But that's where you win most of your money. And I'm just curious on how you got into social media betting, as we could call it.
Yeah, so I started making videos like probably 4 or 5 years ago. So my background's actually in restaurants and franchising. So I've been doing that my whole life, but I grew up as a gambler. So like I always gambled for fun, growing up, poker, blackjack, casinos, cruise ship casinos, sports betting, neighborhood bookie. Like I pretty much did it all, right? But then I never really made content around it. Like I always had to be like a professional. I had to run restaurants and manage people. And then I sold my 4 restaurants back in 2019. I lived in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Sold my 4 restaurants, moved to South Florida, and then I signed a development agreement. So I had to wait like a year or two to build out restaurants. So as I'm waiting, I'm like, going to the Hard Rock, having fun, doing things. And I started to get bored. So I started like making videos, and then, a couple of videos started to go viral, and then one thing turned into the next. And then next thing you know, I was doing it part-time, making betting videos, doing like small brand deals. And then from there, I was like, I'm going to kind of go all in on it. And that's when I built out a studio here in Delray Beach. Went full-time, hired one of my best friends who now manages the 4 restaurants I have in Florida. And now I just focus on this stuff full-time just because I enjoy it more,
Matt, you genuinely are the American dream. And I've heard this story, but I can't wait for you to get even more into it. To get here, to get all those restaurants, to get where you're at with your gambling and all your sports betting, having your best friend as your manager right now, that's incredible. It started with a neighborhood bookie, and I gotta ask for you to tell the story of your first sports gambling experience.
I grew up with gambling in my family. So as a young kid, I was even gambling. But really the biggest incident was when I was like in high school. I was probably sophomore year of high school or so. I was probably like 16 years old. I started betting on a credit line, and I had a neighborhood bookie who used to invite my brother and I to his poker games. And, as my brother and I, like 16, 15 years old, go into these poker games with like 50 and 60 and 65-year-old men. And we used to literally play Texas Hold'em with them every week. And we would come with food and sell the food for money and then buy in with money, and we'd just do crazy shit like that.
What was the buy-in?
I mean, it was pretty high stake. Like, it was probably like 5, 10 and, tens of thousands of dollars. We used to come in as like like on the smaller side as far as buy-ins.
Okay.
But what we would do is we would bring all this food and like cater their events, and then we would sell the food for cash, and then we would take the cash and we would buy in and play poker with them. And we used to beg him every single week and say, let us bet football every single week. And he's like, nah, you're too young. And then after like 6 or 7 weeks, he finally gave in to us, and he gave us these like credit lines, and we would bet NFL. And I ended up getting so upside down on the credit line that I had to then go to my parents, and my mom decided that she would pay off. She was fuming, like she was super pissed at me, but she's like, I'll pay off the credit line, but in one condition. And she's like, you have to stop gambling with him. So I was like, all right, no problem. So she goes to his house and then rings his doorbell and says, I'm writing this check to you for my son's debt, but you cannot let him bet ever again. So he says, all right, no worries. And then she pays him the check. And then 2 years later, when I turned 18, I went back to him and I was like, I'm an adult now, so I want to bet again. And then he started letting me bet again.
Dude, I got it. So you're 16 years old, and I know that feeling of like, oh man, I got to go tell my parents I did this, or just that like uncomfortable weighing on you while you're sleeping or anything like that. But I got to know, like, you're sitting up there in your bedroom at 16 years old. Do you mind me asking how much the debt was? How much you were in the hole?
I don't know the exact amount. It was definitely significant. Like, it was probably like 4,000 to 8,000. Like, it was thousands of dollars, as a kid.
At 16 years old?
That's the problem with me, even at 32 now, is like, most people gamble to feel it. And, once you start like getting in the business and making money, like I can't bet $100 on a game.
No.
Even when I was a kid, like I had to bet to feel it. And then growing up, the unit size just get higher and higher. And then I've learned, like, I see guys like Dave Portnoy, betting $1 million a game. Like, I understand that so much. Like, it resonates so well with me because obviously I don't bet anywhere near that amount, but you have to bet to feel it. Like, you can't bet an amount that doesn't matter if you win or lose. Like, that, to me, that's just gambling. Like, you have to feel what you're betting.
Dude, Matthew McConaughey said it best. You got to bet enough just to catch the buzz. Well, hey, you got to tell me, because I saw you in Vegas and you were running the tables with Bryce Hall, Brett, all those guys, and I saw some of your clips. You were betting pretty heavy. I think Bryce Hall won a $250,000 royal flush. I personally don't even know how to play that game, but you got to tell me. I need your worst gambling story and your best gambling story.
So best is easy. About 4 years ago, my buddy and I went to the Bellagio in Las Vegas. As we check in, like, we literally get our room keys, give the room keys to the girls, and go to the room. We're going to the table. So like, we didn't even bring our luggage to the room yet. So we go right to the blackjack tables. We brought $30K cash with us for the whole trip. So we're there for like a week. So in the first hour and a half, we lose 25 grand. So we're down 25K. We got 5K cash left. We finally take a break, go to dinner with the chicks. Then we send them back upstairs. We bring the 5K downstairs. We go to a new table. We played from midnight till 5 in the morning. We ran 5K at the blackjack tables to 330,000 in high limit blackjack, all on the same table. So it was the craziest run in my life to this day, just because it was such a little amount of money that turned into so much. But we were playing like $500 hands, and we're very aggressive players. So if we win a $500 bet, you're going to 1,000. Win 1,000, you go to 2,000. At the end of the night, we were playing 2 hands, 10K a pop. And we had, at our peak, the craziest hand was we had a 10K hand, 10K hand. And then we got X amount of like double downs and splits, where the math came out to 80K on one hand, just based off of all the splits and double downs. And we didn't make a single hand out of the 8 hands, and then the dealer busted. So we were just crushing it. It was the hottest run of my life by far. This was all on the first day of a 7-day trip. And so the next day or two, we like go shopping, do crazy dinners. We're like living the life, right? In the next 6 days, we threw back over 225,000 between like dinners, like drinks, clubs, and then lots of gambling. So like we ended up not even up like 100 grand after the whole trip, but it was the craziest week ever. So it was one of those stories that lives on forever. And then the Bellagio ended up upgrading us to like a presidential suite on the top floor. And it had like 6 bathrooms and like a mini bar and all this shit. And that's what they did to get us to stay. We were literally this close to like getting a plane and being out, or getting like a car and driving all the way back.
I was like, they gave you stole from them. You robbed them blind, and then they upgraded you. But we
were so close to leaving that night. And then the girls were like, oh, we just got here. And then we fell for the trap. We just kept playing, doing dumb shit, and like, just buying $10,000 purses and dinners and clubs, and it goes very fast.
Hey, we're getting out of here. Let's go to California. Just get me away from the tables, because
anywhere we could have gone anywhere without a casino, we would have been fine.
I was gonna ask you your worst gambling story, but I think it might have been shortly after, when you lost $225,000.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. It just depends how you look at it, because like, it's like that's kind of like part of the story.
Ever. You gotta tell me your worst bad beat in a sports gambling ticket. I know you've had a parlay writing, and you just had a devastating loss.
Yeah, so I had a UFC parlay on the Hard Rock earlier this year. It was a 3-leg. So I like to do like the submission parlays, where you take like 3 fighters to win by submission, which is so fucking hard to win because like it's hard enough to win 1 fighter by submission, right? So many things can happen where they don't win by
It's hard
submission.
enough to win a parlay or a bet.
Yeah. So I had like 3 legs. They were like plus 150, plus 400, plus 600. The first 2 legs hit. The hardest legs hit. The plus 600 hits, then the plus 400 hits. The last leg is Jillian Robertson, the win by submission. She's fighting Polyana Viana, which I don't know if you follow the UFC, but Polyana Viana is like one of the hottest chicks in the UFC. Jillian Robertson takes her down in the first round, has a submission locked in. Polyana escapes, and then the round comes to an end. Then round 2 comes out. She takes her right back to the ground within the first minute. Starts like loosen her up with strikes, elbows. Finds another submission attempt. And Polyana is literally about to tap and about to hit the 3-legger. It was like 30 or 40K. Polyana escapes, and then Jillian Robertson starts landing ground and pound, and the ref calls the fight off, and it ends up being a TKO or a knockout. And that was to me like one of the worst bad beats because it was the easiest leg to hit out of the 3. It was the last leg, and it was twice in the fight where it almost won. So it was like just salt in the wound. Like it was just a fucking miserable beat. Everyone on social media was like, cash out, hedge, and then you get all the trolls that are like, I told you so, you should have cashed out. And it was a fucking... But that's how it goes. I never cash out. Like I hate people cash out.
It's not an option for you. Dude, it's also the people that have $5 on it that just start trolling. Like, this
and
is
it's
a
like, if
terrible
you're going to cash out of a
like,
parlay, then like don't put the last leg in.
Obviously, we are doing this this video for Pikkit Sports, who is a great sponsor of us. So we're going to play a game real quick, Matt. And this game is brought to you by Pikkit Sports. Go download Pikkit Sports in the App Store right now if you do not have it. It's the best app to track your wins and losses. They just released a new Pro feature, and if you buy this feature, it tells you any single, across all of the books online, it tells you if you are missing out on exclusive deals. It gives you warning for expirations that are coming up. You're literally losing money if you do not take the Pro. It also line shops for you. So all the bets that you see across every sportsbook, DraftKings, FanDuel, it does all the line shopping for you. I wish I would have done it for Texas. I got Texas to win the national championship at plus 750. They're plus 850 on FanDuel. If I had the Pro, I would have known that. I got it now. Go download Pikkit Sports right now. The game we are about to play, Matt, is how many beers would it take for you to drink to take these bets? Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Bronny James to win Rookie of the Year in the NBA this year.
1 million.
1 million beers.
There's no amount of beers that would get me to take that.
Daniel Jones to win a Super Bowl.
I mean, it depends what the betting odds are on that. I mean, I don't think it's impossible. I think he could get dropped and get picked up by a team down the road that could, I think Daniel Jones is actually underrated. He has a shit team, but the dude has size and speed, and, he's a solid quarterback. So I'm gonna say 6 beers, but it would depend on the betting odds on that.
Wow. Steady buzz to take Daniel Jones to win the Super Bowl. I like it. I mean, I wish I could show you that clip, but you know it, where he had because you said size and speed, he had an absolute breakaway to the end zone. Yeah, we all know the clip. We might even play it here. So, yeah, that's 6 beers. Not bad at all. Are those tall boys or those just normal 12-ounces?
Just 12 ounces.
Wow. I was not expecting that. What about, I got another one for you. This one, I'm interested to hear your take. John Daly to win the Masters.
I don't have a clue because I don't watch it. So I don't
You
know.
watch
Brad,
golf?
how many beers? 24 beers.
Not bad. Honestly, John Daly would be impressed. It's a steady buzz for him, but to win the Masters, that's a crazy bet. Conor McGregor to beat Jake Paul in a boxing match if they're the same size.
If they're the same size, not that many beers. I mean, as long as he's the same size, I would take Conor. So
really, 2 beers.
If they're the same size, if they were the same size, but if they were at their current size, I would take Jake Paul because he's too big for him.
How many beers for you to take Conor McGregor to beat Jake Paul in a boxing match at the size they are right now?
20 beers.
20 beers. That's not bad. How many beers would it take for you to take Angel Reese to win Rookie of the Year over Caitlin Clark?
15.
Not bad. And last one, obviously, this is a personal one. How many beers to take Texas to win the college football national championship?
I'm gonna say 1 beer. So I'm rooting for you.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about, Matt. I wish I could show you my bet slips. I got a stack about this big already, and we're just growing from here on out. I can't wait till they're number one. At the end of the season, I'm going to call you and offer the suitcase because I know you don't do buyouts. I'll take your buyout all day. I'll take it. I'll give you all my tickets. But, Matt, for the last thing I want to do with you while we have time with you is you are probably – when I first saw your content, when I first saw you, you were very gamble safely kind of guy. Don't go too crazy. Beat the books. Play chess. Don't parlays. My 8-leg parlays, you were like, dude, this kid's nuts. I knew it too. I was like, it happens. It happens. You got to go for gold. You've loosened up a bit. I've seen some $1,000 4-leg parlays on you, and I love them. I love them because they're good. You're a great gambler. So give me 2 futures that we could throw on a parlay. With these futures I'm about to pitch to you, and we got to take it. You have 2 futures.
So I have a future that it's hitting, and I saw it at 35-1 at Circa, and I'm pissed because I left Vegas last trip and I forgot to put it in. But Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year, 35-1 odds. I know I'm an Eagles fan, so you can say it's biased bet, but we just saw C-Mac goes to a powerhouse team in the offseason and wins Offensive Player of the Year. He's a running back, goes to San Fran. Saquon Barkley goes to a good offensive line and a good team in the Eagles. He's going to win Offensive Player of the Year. I think he's going to take at least 30 to 50% of Jalen's rushing TDs from him because the Eagles don't want to, the Eagles don't want to keep feeding Jalen the ball at the 1 or 2 yard line every single year. It's going to play a toll on him long term. So I think Saquon is going to rack up red zone touches and touchdowns. And I think he can also have a lot of luck out of the backfield just in general because you have all these weapons that can space the field out. And I think you're going to see an Eagles team that is very eager to just hand the ball off this season, not overcomplicate things, and try to put too much on Jalen's shoulders. So I like Saquon Barkley, Offensive Player of the Year, 35-1. I think the number is insanely high.
Oh, I'm shocked. I mean, the only thing I'm worried about is I have Jalen Hurts on my fantasy football team, and that man is the king of stealing goal line touches from the running back. I'm interested to see how the Phillies look this year, or the Eagles look. They always look pretty decent. To win Offensive Player of the Year, you just need a good line. Saquon's still the man. As long as he gets those touches in the end zone, I could see it happening for sure. I could see it happening. 35-1 on Circa. Okay, we're putting that in the parlay. And Matt, I'm gonna throw this one at you right now. I know you're not gonna like it, or I don't know if you even watch too much college football, but we're going to one of the greatest divisions in college football. We're going to the MAC, and we got Northern Illinois to win the MACtion. The MACtion just got absolutely butchered. Every MAC team because of the new NIL. All these kids were transferring. Northern Illinois, they held their ground. They kept most of their players. Their starter looks good. They're primed. I think they're going to win it at plus 750 to win the MAC.
Are they one of the favorites, or who's the favorite in that?
The favorite right now is Central Michigan at plus 350. But when it comes to football, you're one injury away from that changing. I like Northern Illinois. I like the program. I like the players. I like the pick.
I like it. Let's do it. That's a big parlay payout if you put them two together.
You got one more for me?
I'll give you an NBA one. You go first, and then I'll give you another one.
All right, here's one I'm adding, dude. And I got so many futures. I'm telling you, one of these is going to smack. It's net worth changing. The Mavericks to win the NBA Finals 2025. Mavericks win the NBA Finals. I saw a picture, and I'm not kidding. It was on Twitter. This guy was a time traveler. He claims to be a time traveler. Someone took a photo from him from afar, and he was wearing a Dallas Mavericks NBA 2025 champions hat. I don't know how he got it. You think this guy went out of his way to special order a hat like that? I don't think so. I truthfully believe that's an omen for it. I think the Mavs are going to take it.
I'm gonna go Denver Nuggets plus 850
to win the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Jokic bounce back season.
All right, we're taking Denver. I'm taking mine off. My pitch was way worse.
I like the Mavericks. I like the Mavericks, but I just think it never happens when a team loses and then comes back the next year. In like any sport, it feels like NFL, NBA.
No, yeah, no. I'm gonna take Northern Illinois, Maction to win the Maction. I'm taking Denver to win the NBA Finals, and then I'm gonna take the Saquon Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, that's gonna pay. That's gonna pay huge.
If any of these futures hits, it genuinely is net worth changing, and I love it. That's it for today. That was Matt. You have the funniest stories of all time. I definitely got to dive into more if you ever have time. Thank you so much, dude. The stories are incredible. Always pay your street bookie if there's anything you can learn from Matty Betts. Don't get too deep in the hole, and if you do, make sure you got a way out, which is always Saquon to win the Rookie of the Year. But thank you so much, Matt, for coming on, and appreciate you.